I'd start by saying that the Constitutional Convention, I believe, is a flawed process. This is a very, not only flawed, but very expensive process. As my sister mentioned, it was 1967 since the last one, and they call it the Big Ugly, where they went through this entire process to be voted down. Part of this is that they can bring out of committees any number of proposals to add to the ballot, or they can bundle them. And so bundling them, you can have a bunch of proposal amendments that end up being voted down after we spend billions of dollars through an entire process that has no end date. It could go on and go on and go on. And so that's one problem. Staying in my lane, talking for my brothers and sisters in labor, we are very concerned, and we believe that the risks outweigh the rewards. We don't want to put, the future of union labor, especially civil servants, in the hands of people who can be influenced by special interests like the Koch brothers who can come in. He explained the process. He said, right, and that's the process that we have to go through. Yep. He said that they can come in and they can put all these LLCs and put together this money to run candidates. So if you're running in a system that is already designed and already structured for working people not to win, then you talk about the influence of all this money coming into our state to hijack our process. And so as you elect delegates, all this money can be poured in to make sure that their delegates are in this Constitutional Convention and that they drive an agenda that's not friendly to the working families of this state. And so actually the opportunity to influence is great and at great risk. He talked about campaign finance reform. Yeah, I agree we need campaign finance law. Labor agrees we need campaign finance laws because we want to see average everyday citizens have the opportunity to run for office. But this can be done through referendum. We don't have to risk our entire rights under this Constitution by bundling it into amendments that can come out of a constitutional convention. There are referendums that hit the ballot all the time. And so what we need to do is focus on those things that we need to correct to make sure that power continues to lie in the hands of the people. The framers of the Constitution, National Constitution, were very concerned in the beginning about whether or not the government had the most power or the state had the most power. And that was a subject of big debate as they were framing the Constitution. And we're concerned now that we don't want to lose the power that we have right now in this state by willy-nilly going through a process, again, that can go on forever, no control over the process, who gets elected, how they get elected, what concerns, who's the people that are backing the delegates who are going up to make these decisions. Another major concern that I have in particular is that communities of color could be really left out of this in a big way. It could be really, really devastating to communities of color because if you talk about how the process works and who gets elected, we're talking across the state, and we can be really marginalized in this process. And so if you look at the senatorial districts, if you get 3 votes out of every senatorial district, it could end up that community of colors get woefully underrepresented in a constitutional convention. That would not be good. And so there are many other concerns. I don't want to put my public education funding at risk. That could happen. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure we have a strong, viable public education system that remains public. The state constitution provides for rights that even go beyond our U.S. Constitution. And so I'm not willing to gamble those rights away in a constitutional convention when I know that there are powerful players who can come in and try to hijack this process and turn around many rights that we have fought for and achieved in the state to expand voting rights for folks, and that could be subject to contestation. Did I say it right? I'm tongue-tied. But that can be subject also to roll back voting rights. We need to expand voting rights, and we want to make sure more people are included. A lot of this can be done through referendums as well. I personally believe that felons, once you've done your time, you should be able to come out and vote. I don't need a constitutional convention to do that. Let's put a referendum up and make sure, that people come back who've served their time, come back and have the right to vote. We don't need a constitutional convention that we throw everything to the wind in order to bring equal rights to all New York states. So I'll wrap it up. Thank you. And I firmly speak for my organization, my 80,000 members here, and other labor leaders in the city say that we vote no.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bragg. A quick reminder before we go on to our final two panelists for their opening remarks. If you have questions, we can get you an index card or post-it note with pens. They're in the aisle there, and then our ushers will be around to pick them up and bring them up here for me. That will inform the second part of our panel discussion, which will be Q&A and a moderated discussion. So now I'd like to turn it back over to Ms. Minister Jazz from the New York People's Convention for her opening remarks.
Yay!
Thank you for that. I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm going to take a selfish moment because I have the microphone in my hand.
Be selfish.
And thank you. And I'm going to say, because we only have about, 12 more days left until the 7th, I want to say thank you to Al. In June, I met with Al really briefly, and I came in, I was excited about this opportunity because I saw it as a way to affect policy for students that I've been working with. And I presented him with what I would do, and based on evidence and what's on paper, I wasn't qualified for the job. But because of my vision and the way that I presented that, I'm here before you. So I want to say thank you so much, Al, for believing in me. And I want to say thank you for believing in the process. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I'm so bold. My opponents will ask you to travel back to 1967. They will say, look who dominated the delegate space at that time. But that just tells me that they don't understand change. Because it's not 1967 anymore.
2017.
Hello? My opponents will say that we don't have the money to stand up to the powers that be, but clearly they did not have a praying grandmother that took care of all of her children on a very seamstress budget. Hey, that's okay. I know all things are possible. My opponents will tend to call me naive for sharing a vision of possibility tonight, but they forgot that I know the power of what it means to dream. And I have the right to dream, just like MLK did in 1960. Engraved in my spirit is the cleverness and the faith of David. And as he took up those tools, he looked the giant center and pulled back the sling. And to me, the sling is the Constitutional Convention. I saw this as an opportunity for us to actually step up to the plate, to show our faith, to exercise that, and do what it is that we need to do in order to show up and show out like I know that we can.
Right.
My mother would say to the naysayers, "O ye of little faith." But it's okay, I understand, because they've been telling you to hide this tool from us since 1977. So it's been about 40 years, and we've been patiently waiting. But I say, wait no more. Right. Now is the time is right, and the time is ripe.
Right.
Why should we wait? Should we wait till our children complete the school to prison pipeline? Nope.
There you go.
Should we wait until our waters are full of lead?
There you go.
Nope. Should we wait till we are pushed out of our homes from gentrification and then say have a convention? No. Should we wait until the suicide rate of our colored little girls and boys increases? I say no. I say now is the time is right. Harriet Tubman did not wait permission.
That's right.
Martin Luther King Jr. didn't ask the experts if it was time to march.
That's right.
We have to remember who we are and where we come from.
We're not
and that
waiting.
on November 7th, we're going to vote yes.
Yes.
Because we're voting for ourselves.
That's
This
right.
is our opportunity, and the time is now. And I say thank you very much for your support.
All right, and we have our closing speaker, who
Seizing the moment.
Uh, will give his own introduction, but Mr. Jordan Marks from New Yorkers Against Corruption.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Jordan Marks. I run the group called New Yorkers Against Corruption. It's about 150 organizations and growing across the state of New York that oppose the Constitutional Convention, and it's everybody. I mean, it's not partisan, it's bipartisan, it's not ideological. It's everybody from the ACLU. It is groups that care about it's labor. It's the Conservative Party on one hand. As I say, the ACLU is with us. They never agree with the Conservative Party on anything, but on this, they're opposed. It's Planned Parenthood. It's NAACP opposes the Constitutional Convention. Make the Road, groups that care about New Yorkers' communities for change. You name it, across the state. It's a growing list of groups that oppose the Constitutional Convention, and they oppose it for two reasons, really. There's two main reasons that are very concerning to everybody. One is the process, which you've heard a lot about, and I'll just